When a woman calls you intimidating, she's not afraid of you. She's reacting to your power. Your discipline, silence, and confidence speak louder than any words ever could. Watch till the end to understand what she really means and why that's your greatest advantage. Comment your location and subscribe if you're ready to own your energy and become unforgettable. You've probably heard it before. A woman looks at a fit, confident older man and says, "He's intimidating." And maybe you've wondered, what does that really mean? Is it a bad thing? Is it a warning sign? The truth is, it's not fear she's expressing, it's fascination. It's her way of acknowledging a presence that feels rare, powerful, and deeply grounded. When a woman says a man is intimidating, she's not saying, "I don't like him." She's saying, "I feel something around him that I can't quite control." The word intimidating gets thrown around casually, but psychologically, it's loaded. It often reflects admiration mixed with self-awareness. What she's really communicating is, "I recognize strength in you, and it makes me reflect on where I stand." You see, a fit older man carries something that can't be faked, experience refined by discipline. His body reflects consistency, his energy reflects composure, and his silence reflects depth. That combination creates a magnetic tension. It challenges people, not because he's trying to dominate, but because his mere existence sets a standard. Most people are comfortable around predictability. They know how to handle someone who's average, reactive, or needy. But when they meet a man who has mastered himself, it throws them off balance. They're not used to someone who doesn't chase attention, who doesn't perform, who doesn't need validation to feel powerful. That kind of man is rare, and rarity always stirs curiosity. When a woman sees that level of poise, her instincts recognize something different. There's strength, but it's quiet. There's confidence, but it's not loud. It's the kind of confidence that doesn't need to prove itself. And that's the difference between attraction that fades and attraction that lingers. She may not be able to explain it logically, but her emotions will react before her mind catches up. She'll call it intimidation. But what she's really feeling is respect mixed with awe. Here's the deeper truth. Intimidation often begins where self-assurance meets mystery. When you're a man who knows who he is, when you've taken time to build your body, discipline your mind, and align your values, you project a calm that others can feel. You don't need to boast about what you've done. Your energy already communicates it. That's why the word intimidating is usually a reflection of the observer, not the man himself. It says more about how she perceives herself in your presence than about you. In psychology, this is known as projection. When someone encounters a person whose qualities they admire but haven't developed within themselves, they feel a mix of admiration and discomfort. The admiration says, "I'm drawn to this." The discomfort says, "I'm not there yet." That internal conflict often gets labeled as intimidation. So when a woman says you're intimidating, she might actually be saying, "You remind me of the potential I haven't yet reached." That's the paradox. The qualities that make you intimidating are the very ones that make you irresistible. Your discipline signals reliability. Your fitness signals self-respect. Your composure signals maturity. All of that tells her that you are a man who doesn't just live, you lead yourself. And that's deeply attractive, especially in a world full of men who lack direction. But here's where many men make a mistake. They hear intimidating and try to tone themselves down. They try to appear less confident, less firm, less disciplined, thinking it will make them more approachable. In doing so, they lose the very essence that made them stand out in the first place. The goal isn't to make people comfortable by dimming your light. It's to stay authentic while remaining compassionate. You don't need to apologize for your strength. Strength with empathy isn't threatening. It's grounding. A man who has walked through life's storms, built his discipline, and learned emotional control carries a silent authority. People feel it before he speaks. He doesn't need validation because he validates himself daily through his habits, his integrity, his choices. That's what makes his presence powerful. That's why eyes follow him when he enters a room. It's not his muscles or his looks alone. It's the vibration of confidence that says, "I know who I am, and I don't need your permission to be it." When women describe such a man as intimidating, it's a reflection of the respect he commands without asking for it. He doesn't chase admiration, yet he receives it. He doesn't demand attention, yet he draws it. That's the paradox of presence. When you stop performing for approval, you become magnetic. And so when you hear the word intimidating, reframe it. Don't take it as criticism, take it as confirmation. It means your energy speaks louder than your words. It means your discipline is visible without you having to explain it. It means you've reached a point where people don't just see you, they feel you. That's not something to soften or hide. That's something to carry with pride and humility. Because what women really mean when they call you intimidating is simple. You've mastered something I admire, and I'm still learning how to meet you there. And that's the ultimate realization. Intimidation isn't about fear, it's about recognition. Recognition of power, of presence, of self-control, the kind that can't be bought, borrowed, or imitated. So the next time someone calls you intimidating, smile, because what they're really saying is, you've become the kind of man who makes others stop and think. And that, my friend, is the truest form of attraction there is. You see, what truly intimidates people isn't physical strength or social power. It's emotional control. A man who has mastered his emotions radiates a quiet authority that words can't compete with. You can see it in the way he carries himself, unbothered, centered, deliberate. He doesn't flinch under pressure, he doesn't react impulsively, and he never chases chaos. That kind of composure is rare, and in a world addicted to emotional noise, it stands out like silence in a crowd. Women notice that immediately. They can feel when a man's confidence isn't borrowed from his bank account, his body, or his social status, but anchored deep within. It's that grounded energy that unsettles people, not because it's aggressive, but because it's stable. Stability in a world that thrives on insecurity becomes intimidating. Think about it. Most people are emotionally reactive. They depend on validation to feel valuable, and they chase approval to feel seen. But when a man has outgrown that, when he no longer needs external affirmation to confirm his worth, his energy becomes both calm and commanding. He doesn't need to raise his voice or prove himself. His very stillness demands attention. That's the psychology of true power. It's not about dominance. It's about control over oneself. And this is what differentiates fit, older men from the rest. By the time you've built your body and mind through discipline, you've also built something deeper, emotional maturity. You've learned that strength without restraint is chaos, and that silence often speaks louder than speech. When you enter a room, you don't compete for space, your presence defines it. That, right there, is what many women call intimidating. Not because they fear you, but because they sense they can't easily influence you. For many, that's disarming. When you can't be manipulated emotionally, when you're not seeking approval, when you don't respond to every bait, you become unpredictable. And unpredictability is powerful. It's what keeps people intrigued. The moment you stop being reactive, you shift from being a participant in someone else's story to being the author of your own. A lot of men misunderstand power. They think it's about showing dominance or asserting control. But true psychological power comes from restraint, the ability to stay composed when others would crumble, to respond with wisdom when provoked, to remain still when others panic. That's emotional mastery, and women sense it instantly. They call it confidence. They call it presence. But at its core, it's control, not over others, but over yourself. There's something profoundly attractive about a man who isn't emotionally available to chaos, a man who doesn't argue to win, who doesn't need to be right, who listens not to respond, but to understand. His peace becomes his power. He becomes a mirror, reflecting back to others what they truly are, and that reflection can be confronting. It's why people describe such men as intimidating. It's not him they fear, it's what they see in themselves when they stand beside him. Philosophically, this is what maturity looks like. It's not the absence of emotion, it's mastery over it. It's knowing when to speak and when silence says more. It's understanding that being calm in the face of conflict isn't weakness, it's wisdom. And that's something only experience can teach. Emotional power doesn't come from suppressing your feelings, it comes from understanding them so deeply that they no longer control you. When a fit older man reaches this level of self-control, it transforms how people respond to him. His body shows discipline, but his demeanor shows depth. His strength is visible, but his calmness is what commands attention. Women see that and call it intimidating, but what they're truly sensing is safety. The safety of being around someone who won't lose himself just because emotions run high. And make no mistake, that emotional steadiness is magnetic. It creates trust. It gives others permission to be vulnerable. When you're grounded, you give others the space to feel grounded too. That's the paradox of true power. It doesn't need to take control. It naturally inspires it. So when a woman says you're intimidating, what she's often trying to articulate is that your peace makes her curious. Your silence forces her to listen. Your calmness makes her reflect. You're not playing the same emotional games everyone else plays, and that difference is both attractive and unsettling. The message here is simple. Stop mistaking emotional detachment for strength. Real strength is engagement without chaos, empathy without absorption, love without losing yourself. It's the ability to remain firm yet kind, strong yet soft, assertive yet understanding. When you embody that balance, you become someone people admire, not just for what you've achieved, but for who you've become. And here's the truth that ties it all together. Being intimidating isn't about how others perceive you. It's about how you've learned to perceive yourself. Once you master your emotions, you master your world. Because no one can control a man who controls his mind. So remember this, the calmest man in the room isn't the weakest, he's the most powerful. And when your peace becomes your presence, you'll never have to chase attention again. Because the world will naturally be drawn to your silence. When a woman calls a man intimidating, it's easy to misread it as disapproval. But more often, it's an unconscious confession of respect. It's a signal that she's encountering something she doesn't see every day. A man whose confidence isn't rooted in arrogance, but in self-awareness. You see, attraction at its deepest level isn't about dominance or submission. It's about respect. It's the meeting of two energies that recognize strength in each other. And when that recognition happens, it creates tension, curiosity, and undeniable chemistry. When a woman says a fit older man is intimidating, she's not saying he's scary. What she's really expressing is, you hold yourself to a standard I can feel. That standard, physical, emotional, or mental, doesn't need to be spoken. It's visible in how he moves, how he speaks, and how he carries silence. It's the quiet assurance that he doesn't need validation to know his worth. That's not threatening, that's magnetic. Because while most people chase approval, he embodies it. Respect-based attraction is rare because it's not built on superficial charm or momentary excitement. It's built on depth, the kind that makes people lean in without even realizing why. The fit older man becomes a symbol of what discipline and integrity look like in physical form. He's not just strong in body, he's strong in boundaries. He doesn't bend easily, he doesn't chase, and he doesn't crumble under pressure. That strength, when paired with humility, becomes irresistible. It communicates, I'm not here to impress you, I'm here to be me. Philosophically, this kind of presence reflects something deeper, mastery of self. In a world where so many live externally, seeking meaning through attention and comparison, a man who has learned to anchor himself internally is a rarity. He doesn't speak to gain favor, he speaks when he has something to say. He doesn't perform confidence, he is confidence, the quiet kind that doesn't need to announce itself. And that subtlety is what makes him stand out. Women are not intimidated by strength, they are drawn to it when it's paired with emotional maturity. What they resist is dominance without empathy, power without gentleness, confidence without awareness. The fit older man often embodies the opposite. He knows what it means to be powerful and peaceful. That balance is what evokes respect. It's not the size of his muscles or the firmness of his tone. It's the steadiness of his spirit. And this is the crucial part. When women sense that steadiness, it challenges them. It invites them to rise to that level, to meet strength with strength. They begin to see him not as a threat, but as a mirror. His composure reminds them of their own potential for emotional control. His discipline inspires them to elevate their own standards. And his patience offers a glimpse of what mature love or connection could look like. That's the essence of why women describe such men as intimidating. It's not because he diminishes them. It's because he awakens something in them. But here's the mistake many men make. They hear intimidating and assume they need to tone down their power to be more approachable. That's not the answer. Your strength, your discipline, your emotional stability, those are your most attractive traits. You don't have to hide them to make others comfortable. You just have to express them through empathy. Strength that uplifts, not overpowers. Confidence that invites, not controls. Presence that listens, not just commands. When you operate from this space, power blended with peace, you no longer chase attraction, you command it. Because you're not trying to convince anyone to like you, you're showing them what self-respect looks like in action. And the truth is, respect-based attraction lasts far longer than lust or infatuation ever could. Physical attraction fades, but emotional safety, maturity, and strength, those are timeless. The man who embodies this balance becomes unforgettable. Not because he's flashy, but because he's felt. His presence lingers in people's minds because it's not rooted in ego, it's rooted in authenticity. And that authenticity gives him an advantage that no trend or charm can replace. It makes people, especially women, stop and think, what is it about him? The answer is simple. It's not what he says. It's what he represents. He represents composure in chaos, strength in stillness, confidence in humility. He represents the version of manhood that's not loud, but deeply grounded. And that, more than anything, earns respect, the kind of respect that naturally evolves into admiration, and admiration that evolves into desire. So when women call you intimidating, don't shrink. Understand what they're truly saying. They're acknowledging your discipline, your self-awareness, your control. They're admitting, sometimes without even realizing it, that your presence commands a different kind of attention, the kind that can't be faked or forced. Because the truth is, you were never meant to be less so others could feel more. You were meant to be whole so others could rise to meet you there. And when you own that truth, when your strength becomes your calm and your presence becomes your peace, you stop being intimidating. You simply become unforgettable.